Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Investing with Dominic. We need to talk about GameStop because this is one of the craziest things I've ever seen in all my years investing. So before we get started, if you want to get more investing content whenever I post something, please subscribe to the channel below. Okay, now that I got that out of the way, what is happening with GameStop? The stock is up hundreds of percent over the past week. And what's happening here is something called a short squeeze. What is a short squeeze? Normally, I would devote an entire video to short selling and options trading before covering this topic, but we're just gonna have to keep it short for today. When someone sells short a stock, what they do is they borrow the stock from a broker. When they borrow it, they then sell it, hoping that the price will go down so that they can buy it back at a lower price later, and then they can pocket the difference. So what's happening with GameStop is that this stock has been shorted by so many people that there were actually more shares sold short than there was available to buy in the market. We're not going to go into that now. It gets a little complicated, but basically too many people sold it short and it kind of had nowhere to go but up. Now, what's happening is a group on Reddit called Wall Street Bets has been chatting a little bit about GameStop recently, and they noticed that this stock was overly sold short. So what they decided to do was to all get together and buy it, knowing that if the price went up too much, the short sellers would have to close out their positions, which means buying the stock and forcing it higher. Well, you see this every now and then in all sorts of different stocks, commodities, bonds even, but this is the craziest thing I've ever seen because it's up hundreds of percent in a week. Like it went from like $18 or something like that. Actually, I'll quote it later. It went from like less than $100, well less than $100 to, as of yesterday, it was like $350, and I think this morning it topped out at $500 for no apparent reason at all. So this has just got everybody up in arms. So what's gonna happen, no one really knows, but I decided to get in on the action. I wanted to kind of see what's gonna happen. So in a short squeeze, you've got people buying the stock who have to buy the stock because they're over leveraged, they borrowed too much money, and the broker is making them close their positions. So when that happens, all of them buy the stock at once, and there's a few well-known names in the news such as Melvin Capital, who owe like billions of dollars over this. But what happens is when they all buy it, you have all this artificial buying demand and it shoots the stock higher. So my idea is that when all of that is done, you're going to have no more excess buying power, theoretically. So I wanted to do a small position to just kind of see what happens. Now, what I did was I purchased a put option contract, which means I bought the right to sell it at a much lower price. Now, I wanted to put down very little money, so this is called an out of the money options contract. So I actually bought a contract to sell the stock at $69 on March 5th. So given the stock closed today at around $300, basically what I'm saying is that it's going to go all the way down to $69 in about a month. That's not really very likely to happen under most normal circumstances, so this is pure speculation. It's kind of like a lottery ticket. But what I wanted to do was see if that indeed played out. Let's see if that excess buying goes away and the stock goes down like a rock. As of the close of trading today, it was down about 44% to $190. So we're well on our way there. However, some of the craziness that has been happening with it is driven by online brokerages putting restrictions on whether or not their investors can buy the stock. So part of this was Robinhood, Interactive Brokers, and a couple of others placed restrictions on GameStop's trading ability. So when that happened, you removed a lot of the Reddit buyers and the stock just went down like crazy. And what's happening after hours is actually really interesting because they lifted those restrictions and now it's up 30% after the bell again. So we just have no idea what's going to happen at this point. Another thing, I think it's important to take a moment to reflect on what is happening and whether it's a good thing or not, because a lot of people are very excited about this situation. A lot of the people on Reddit are pointing to the fact that often well-known hedge fund managers will go on CNBC and just say, I bought this stock or I sold this stock, and there's absolutely no accountability on whether they announce their position, everyone goes and buys it because they bought it and they sell it the next day. So this gets people pretty mad. People on Reddit are saying a lot of this type of thing as to what's driving them to do things like this. I personally am extraordinarily entertained by the whole thing. In my view, everyone's saying, oh, these hedge funds are such sophisticated investors. Well, you can't possibly call yourself a sophisticated investor if you are shorting a stock where more shares are shorted than even exist to buy. That doesn't make any sense. So you can't possibly call yourself sophisticated if you're caught short billions of dollars on a stock that is so shorted that that's the case. In my opinion, this was clearly an inefficiency, and it's being just blown up in an utterly spectacular way. Back to my position. So my position gets closed out on March 5th. I am going to sell it long before then because I actually don't think it's going to get all the way to $69, but the way an option contract works is that I just need it to get a lot closer, and the value of the option contract will be a lot higher than it is today. As of last I checked, I've made $35 on this option contract, so we got a ways to go. But I'll keep you all posted on how that goes. In the meantime, take a look at GameStop. It's crazy, and I'll see you all next time, hopefully really soon, on this exact same topic. Bye.